Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Rotate This for the live performance exercises in Module 3. Not going to record or time, but you should. And we're going to go to Rot 13 to deobfuscate the problem. So we'll come down here, copy the starter code, which is obfuscated. And we'll put in here, and okay, is one string a rotated version of another? So let's go ahead and open up our Replit. And we'll select JavaScript. And go into settings, change the theme to dark. You don't have to do that. Disable code intelligence can be a useful way to keep some of the more, let's say, annoying features of Replit. Annoying, let's say overwhelming for a beginner. Sort of out of your way for now. And we'll go ahead and create a multi-line comment, which will allow us to put in the instructions. Let's go ahead and copy all of this. And extra hint, click the drop down to Rot 7 to see hint. Is one string a rotated version of another? Okay. So if we come over here, and this is the video where we're going to use the hint, because the hint is super helpful. So if we see, if you double the string, you'll be able to find another string inside of the double string using familiar string methods. So the double string is essentially hello world, and what they're implying is that once you double it, trying to find a rotated version of the original string inside of the doubled string is actually way easier. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I might go ahead and get rid of those by the time you see this video. But anyway, we'll go ahead and highlight this part, bring it back over to our instructions. Yeah, this is superfluous. This is not supposed to be there. So when you see this, hopefully I will have adjusted that. But between the rotating forwards and backwards, it's not necessarily trivial to replace those. So a couple of things that you should notice. One, we don't have a test case, any kind of like a variable whatever is equal to the name of the function. So it doesn't have a function for us. But what we're saying is that is one string, so with that in mind, we can create our own variable name. So we'll say function is rotated. It's going to take a string 1 and a string 2, and it's going to do stuff. Is rotated, is the question our function is answering is one string a rotated version of the other, to which we could answer yes or no, which in your mind should immediately jump towards true or false. If the return value is going to be true or false, then what we would want is an assertion function that's just going to be assert equal. Assert equal is going to let us compare two scalar values. One's going to be true or false, the actual result. The other is going to be the expected result based on whether it's true or false given the test case we're setting up. So let's go ahead and get our assert equal function rolling. If they are equal, we're going to console.log passed, and let's go ahead and continue to use our ES6 template literals because they're cool. Console.log, say failed. And again, sorry for the awkward version of this, but I am getting used to this as well. Failed test name, wrap a square bracket around that. We expected to spell expected correctly. Interpolate our expected value. Expected that. Ooh, we usually put quotes around them, don't we? I think I forgot that for the last one, but that's okay. So expected. Yeah, let's put quotes around it. Expected that. Oh, the quotes are so annoying though. Anyway, but got quotes. Then we'll wrap quotes around our actual value. And it gives us double quotes because it's like, hey, you surely meant double quotes, right? And we're like, no, we don't. But anyway, and passed is close, but it's not quite passed. So now that we have that, let's come up here and we'll say variable actual rotate is equal to is rotated called on, no reason not to just use this example, hello world, and then a rotated version of hello world is this one right here. Variable expected rotate is, and this is going to be true, and then we'll say assert equal actual rotate, expected rotate. So the return value from our function in the case where the second string is a rotated version of the first string is going to be true. So we'll say should return true when string 2 is rotated version of string 1. Now, if you're not exactly sure what they mean by rotated, let's just take a quick second to appreciate what's going on here. So I'm going to take this string and we're going to place it down here, and we're going to rotate it kind of in place. So essentially what's going on here is we are taking the last character and just moving it to the front. So this is a rotated version of string 1. This is also a rotated version of string 1. Oh no, I forgot to do that. Say RLD. This is also a rotated version. And we would just keep going, essentially moving each letter at the end to the beginning. And let's do one more because that'll actually give us our RLD, move the 0, or move the O. And if we look at that, that is the version that and actually highlighted for us. That's string 2. So as you can see, doing this manually, we can appreciate that that's what they mean by rotated, and that this is a rotated version. If we look at the hint, let's have a look at the doubled string. And what we're going to do is, you can see how every version here is present in this double version of the string. Because essentially this portion that I've highlighted on line 34 is the exact same as this right here. And then if we just keep moving back, we're going to be able to find all of those. And this demonstration actually worked way better than I thought it was going to, but as you can appreciate, having a doubled version of the string is going to make this 1,000 times easier. I haven't decided yet, but I might put another video up that actually shows a, not brute force, but a way that doesn't make use of this hint. Because there is a way where we would essentially just keep creating each one of these strings and then comparing it to the second string. So basically, just take the first string and keep rotating it until either we match the second string or we get back to the original string that we had. So that's the other version of this. But since they gave us a hint, we are going to make use of the context clues, meaning the hint, and we're going to just take them at their word. So let's make one where the test is passing. So we'll say actual not is equal to is rotated, and let's do hello world as well. And let's make one that is not a rotated version of it. So we're going to take this one right here, paste it in, and we're going to mess with it. We're going to just say RO, and then we'll say EH. So this is not a rotated version of this string. No matter how many times we keep taking the last letter and moving it forward, we're never going to get this combination of letters, so we can say that this is not a rotated. So expected not is equal to false, and then we'll make a call to assert equal, which is going to be false. Sorry, which is going to be checking to make sure that this returns false in the case where it's not actually a rotated version. Expected not should return false, false true, should return false when string 2 is not a rotated version of string 1. Excellent. So now that we have our assertion function and two test cases, one where we are testing if it works, one where we're testing that it works as it shouldn't. Sorry. There's a version of that that makes sense, but essentially we have one where we're testing each possible outcome. Edge cases kind of come into these sort of deals, but for our purposes, because there are so few details, we can make assumptions that make the problem easier for us. So now that we have all of this in place, we should hit run, and what hitting run is going to do is make sure that our assert equal function is correct, and that the calls to our assertion functions during our test cases down here are actually, syntactically accurate. So if we hit run, we're going to see a rather familiar failed test name, expected true but got undefined, expected false but got undefined. Then this undefined refers to something that we went over a long time ago, but essentially it means that, hey, you didn't actually return anything from any of this code, so I'm just going to say undefined. Now, if we consider what we should do based on the hint, it's relatively simple. So the first is create doubled version of string 1. Create doubled version of string 1, then check for index of string 2 within doubled string 1. If present, return true. Otherwise, return false. So relatively easy problem here, mostly about trying to carefully read the problem, take care of any hints that are happening. So we'll say variable doubled is equal to string 1 plus string 2, or sorry, string 1 plus string 1. Check for the index of, so we'll say variable index is equal to doubled dot index of string 2. And then one of the things you may or may not be familiar with is that if you ask for the index of something and you get -1, that means it's not there. If you get anything other than -1, it means that that's where it was found within the string, or that was the index where it was found. So what we'll do is we'll take quick advantage of that. We'll say if index is not equal to -1, and in case you're curious how you would kind of thread this through, I've had a little bit of luck doing something like this, because what we want is we want otherwise to be above the else call. So because otherwise is describing else, so we put the curly brace for this one on line 21 just below otherwise. We're then going to take this curly brace and put it below on line 26. So if that's the case, return true. Otherwise, return false. Now, we did this rather quickly, so we might have done something wrong. But since we have our test cases, at this point, don't think about it too much. We've done a lot of where we go back over the code, and that can be useful. Doubled is equal to string plus 1, string 1 plus string 1, index is equal to doubled dot index of string 2. But you want to consider that the purpose of those tests is almost so that we don't have to do that. We can assume that we did it right the first time, and if the test passed, we did it correctly. If it don't, then maybe we go back in here and kind of go over all of this. But I do like to go over it while we're doing the videos, just to give you an example of that happening. But essentially, that's kind of why we write the test cases. So let's go ahead and hit run and see what we messed up. And we're in good shape. Okay, so I know I said that I was going to do a version of this where we manually do it. I think that's going to be the next video. So. And if not, you want to consider that that could be a good exercise to figure out how to do that on your own. I may or may not put that other video in there. I'm not really sure yet. But for our purposes, this is going to be all we need for this function. Let's go ahead and copy everything and go back to get our pat on the head from, learn. Call this learn because, Galvanize learn. Actually, learn was the one that they used to have for Maker Square and Hack Reactor, so they ended up calling that, we're calling this one glearn. That's really not important whatsoever. So here's the code, now that we've written it all correctly. We go ahead and hit run test, and it's going to say, hey, you should have written your own test, which we did, so we are in great shape. Excellent work, everyone. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.